Hey film fans, you're watching Octopoddy with me, Craig.
And me, George.
And today we've got very sad news that I'm sure everyone's aware of. Sean Connery, the original Bond, the best Bond probably.
The definitive Bond.
The definitive Bond, definitely. He's died. Yeah, age 90, passed away in his sleep peacefully.
That's the way I'd want to go.
Yeah, I think so. You want to go out that way, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't like to, drowning, I wouldn't like to go. I don't think that would be quite horrible, but we're going in to sleep. But by his wife by his side.
He had a very short battle with dementia, wasn't it?
Apparently so, yeah.
When he was 89, I think he was saying that it was starting to come about.
Which is going to happen about that age, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
His son said he'd been unwell for a little bit, for quite some time. So yeah, I would have thought he'd lived forever. He's one of those people, isn't it? Like it was a surprise when he found out that he died, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly the same how it felt when Roger Moore passed away.
Mm-hmm.
They're all it's starting to go one by one now, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It's all going. Time catches up. Even the great Sean Connery, who seemed invincible.
He did seem invincible.
But at least he went there. Yeah, 90 is nothing to be sniffed at.
He's had good innings.
Been living it up in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Wife by his side, his son by his side, going peacefully. So today is a little bit of a tribute to the great Sean Connery.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
We'll talk about his career, I think his life and career.
Found out some interesting facts.
We did, didn't we, find out some interesting facts. So, shall we start?
At the beginning?
Yeah, a very good place to start, isn't it,
I
think? So we might as well start there. So, he was born in Edinburgh 90 years ago. I can't remember to look up what year it is.
90 years ago, yeah. It would be 1930, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, quick maths, that is.
Bit of quick maths there.
Yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Because we found out that he grew up in a bit of a tough neighbourhood. A lot of crime around in that area, a bit of a poor area. He went into was a milkman. Milk boy, I think, yeah. So he used to deliver milk as a milk round. Then he went to the Navy. He was 16 in 1946, just after the Second World War, missed it. And there was an able seaman, so he never reached the rank of commander. Like Bond.
Yeah, like Bond.
But I suppose he's got that in his backstory. They share that, isn't it?
He's done a lot of, for his roles. He's had a lot of experience.
That's the thing.
Before
his backstory is I think Fleming kind of did that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He retroactively changed it that he was now Scottish.
Yes.
After Sean Connery, he started describing him looking like Sean Connery.
Yes.
And made him Scottish, and his background Scottish.
Being a commander of the Royal Navy, and I don't really know what much else to say.
He did a few odd jobs as well before he became an actor. So he didn't. He was a coffin
polisher.
Coffin polisher.
Yeah.
That's not a euphemism for anything.
No.
He polished coffins for a bit. Labourer, lorry driver, and then apparently at the age of 18 he got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Got himself buff.
Could have signed for Busby's Man United.
Apparently so, that he was good enough at football that he got a trial and it didn't work out.
He said to himself that he'd rather see how acting took him because he'd think it'd be a longer career for him. And
who knows what could have happened to him? He could
have won Scotland the World Cup or something. You never know.
The air crash.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been.
Could have been in the Munich air crash.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That's another parallel universe, maybe, or he became a star striker for Man United.
Yeah, definitely.
He was in Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
He apparently placed. He didn't win it or get that far in it, but he placed in it. Apparently, he said he couldn't compete with the Americans because they didn't do any sports that would lose muscle mass. And then we find him. Then he got into acting and he started doing a few bits and bobs here.
Little small roles, yeah.
It's all part of throughout the 50s, isn't it? It's part of you got to learn your.
You got to learn your trade, didn't you? You got to learn your craft. Yeah, no, I get that.
So he was still rather much an unknown when he was cast as Bond.
Yeah.
But apparently, like Terence Young, who was the director of Doctor No, trained him to be like Bond. Because Connery's not Bond, is he?
No.
I know that sounds really stupid.
Yeah.
Connery's not Bond, is he?
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, their backgrounds are different. So Connery comes from a working class background.
Yeah.
Grafted his whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, he was in the Navy, but he was down in the dregs. Whereas James Bond is an orphan, but he was to the manor born with a silver spoon in his mouth a little bit. He comes from was adopted by a wealthy family.
Yeah.
Blofeld was his brother, apparently, according to Spectre, but we won't worry about that. And then, became a commissioned officer in the Navy. Went to like Oxford and stuff, didn't he? Or was it like a posh school like that, isn't it?
What, Bond?
Yeah, don't they say in
Pierce Brosnan's Bond. And he was brushing up on some Danish.
Casino Royale, doesn't she?
Yes, yeah, you're right.
You think you've gone to Oxford and you think that's how people are supposed to dress, isn't it? Like, that's why he wears that and goes, be with there at the grace of someone else's graces, wasn't it? Like, someone else paid for you to go.
Yeah, I remember that now.
So he's so he wasn't like the sophisticated suave guy, and apparently Terence Young, the director of Doctor No, was, and kind of trained him how to dress, how to be smooth, how to act, basically. And then
it paid off.
We said like he grew as an actor as the roles went on.
Yes, definitely. Until we got uninterested.
You only live twice. That was when he left first, didn't he? Came back.
Yeah, 4 years later, he was like, "Diamonds are forever. Bring it on."
Donated a lot of money to Scottish charities, I think.
Of course, he did.
Because he loved Scotland so much that he lived in Bahamas and didn't want to pay tax there, but he loved them. He was involved in a lot of charities and things like boys' charities and stuff, wasn't it? And
always a respected gentleman on the sets. Some people might say differently, i.e. some people did say he was a bit harsh, a bit grumpy. But
you get actors like, he knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
There's a story on the set of The Untouchables and things like that. There's a bit in The Untouchables when they're in the cabin when they go up to Canada.
Yeah.
And he's reading the newspaper, and everyone else is like meant to be all like getting all tense because they've never been in a big shootout before. He's sitting there calmly reading the newspaper, and apparently he did his line. He did it. He basically just did it all in one take, all in one go. This bit, and like he knew everyone's line, just got it up pat straight away. Apparently Andy Garcia, who was like a young actor with him at the time, was like, "How'd you do that?" And apparently he was like, "It's not my first barbecue, boy." And he's like, "I've done that." Apparently, as an actor, he was very much into preparation.
Okay.
And he didn't like it when he didn't like to improvise.
Okay.
So very much like Andy Hopkins in that way. Apparently, that he would study the script.
Had to do it to the line.
Yeah, and he knew exactly what he was going to do how he was going to say each line. What he was going to. So when he got to the set, if the director started saying, "Oh, let's throw out the script," and apparently he couldn't get on with that. He didn't like it at all because he prepared himself so thoroughly for what it was going to be like. So I knew Quick Bond. He did quite other interesting things. Won an Oscar for Untouchables.
His only one? Yeah,
I think it was only nomination. He's won a few BAFTAs before. The Name of the Rose, that's another good one that he did.
Name of the Rose?
Yeah. He's a monk, a Franciscan monk, based on the book by Umberto Eco. He's a Franciscan monk, and he solves a murder. There's a series of murders at this monastery that he goes to.
Yeah.
And he has to solve the murder through loads of cryptic clues and stuff. It's a very good film, and Sean Connery's brilliant in it. It was just before he did Untouchables. He won the BAFTA for Best Actor for it. Highlander. He's great. He plays Ramirez. What's his name? I can't remember the first name, but basically he's a Spanish. Because in that film you've got Christopher Lambert he's Belgian, French Belgian, and he plays a Scotsman. And Sean Connery plays an Egyptian or a Spanish guy, Ramirez, and his name's Ramirez, Jorge Ramirez or something like that. And he just does his Sean Connery voice. I mean, he wasn't an actor who, he's not a comedian, was he?
No, he's not really done anything comedy-wise, has he?
Well, you know what I mean? Like, he's just Sean Connery in every film that he's in.
Yeah.
He does the Sean Connery, he doesn't put on accents. He doesn't...
if you're getting him for a film, he's just doing Sean Connery.
Yeah, exactly. So he's one of those actors that makes the role like him.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around, isn't it? He's not someone like Daniel Day-Lewis who's going to like go away somewhere for a few months and come back and he's transformed himself into like a Texan oil baron or something. Do you know, that kind of thing. And he's not going to do that, is he?
No, he's very much. That's what you're getting.
But there's actors like John Wayne and people like that who
known just to do that one character.
People go to watch their personality. We know what their personality is. He's not going to play. Well, I mean, he does do it. I mean, when he did Indiana Jones, apparently, because he's Indiana Jones' dad.
Yeah.
In the Last Crusade, apparently he's only 9 years older than Harrison Ford as well. He played his dad.
Only
9 years older than Harrison Ford.
Oh, right, okay.
And he played his dad in the movie. That can't be right, can it?
No,
Harrison Ford's like 81, is he? That can't be right. I think he's not that much older than him. Maybe he's like 16 years older than him. 16 sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, 70 something. Yeah, he can't be. He's not 81, is he, Harrison Ford? And then apparently the original script for that, Sean was going to be basically like old Bond, like smoozing the women, fighting and stuff like that. And then Sean Connery said, "No, I don't want to do that. Let's do something different." So they made him into that bookish kind of dorky professor type character. So
I remember watching it for the first time and not realising it was Sean Connery.
There you go. That's the power of his actor. He doesn't have his wig on, does he? In that one?
No, he never letting the crown out, isn't he?
Well, it was about. I mean, he had the beard. See, that was the thing. In the early 80s, he grew the beard.
Yeah.
That became part of his look.
It was like a thin
white wispy one, didn't he? I mean, he's done some
in Untouchables.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a white wispy kind of beard.
Yeah.
Like that. But then you got another film I was thinking of that just popped into my head. I've never actually watched it all the way through, but it's Zardoz,
right? Which
is in the 70s.
Right.
And you have to see a picture of him in it. It's a weird sci-fi film.
Okay.
Where the world's been taken over, and it's called Zardoz because it's like Wizard of Oz, and the world's been taken over by like the elites, and everyone's like, and there's these big stones that fly around, going like, the gun is good, the penis is bad, right? And he walks around, he wears a giant red nappy.
What, Sean Connery?
Yeah, he wears like this big red nappy thing, and it was John Boorman directed it, and he always goes a bit mental. He made Deliverance, then he just decided he was going to do that, and he just went a bit mental.
Right.
So that's another thing. Everyone always likes to show that picture of him in the red nappy thing, and and the big moustache and the ponytail and stuff. And it's like a sci-fi thing. And that was one of Sean's flops. Because in the 80s, after he'd done Bond, he did Never Say Never Again. And he actually looks younger with the beard, doesn't he? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh. And he had it was the 70s, like making art movies and stuff, and. What were we talking about? I said about his beard. He kind of looked, because in Never Say Never Again, when he came back to Bond, he shaved his beard off.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked older, like trying to get off with Kim Basinger. So that was the thing. He had that sex appeal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And a lot of people fancied him, and that's the whole point of his like. There was just something sexy about him, wasn't there?
Yeah, he had
that. He's got that kind of oversexed feel to him.
Yeah, 100%.
And that always carried on even through like. His as he got older and started doing other films. I mean, the thing with him was he didn't grow old gracefully. Mm-hmm. He kind of
It come very quick.
It was just he kind of never gave up the leading man action role thing, was it?
Yeah, no, he couldn't leave it behind. Apart from in The Untouchables.
Yeah, but even then, like
he's a supporting role, but he was the lead of the supporting roles.
But that was his big comeback kind of thing. He'd done some other stuff, and then he'd done that, and then he was back to Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
And then it was The Rock, wasn't it, in the 90s, which was really like, look, he's still
can do
the hard man.
Yeah.
He can still the action man. And then he did Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Which it was stretching it a little bit with the love affair between them two.
When was that?
99.
Oh, really?
So she was 20, late 20s.
Really?
He was.
What's it called?
60, Entrapment. She's like an FBI agent or something.
Oh no.
He's a cat burglar, and he has to teach her all the ways of cat burglar. And I just remember the only
gosh.
bit I really remember, for some bizarre reason, maybe I'm a 14-year-old boy, or whatever, watching it, when she she's in like this skin tight suit, and she's got to get through the the lasers there. She's got to steal like a diamond. Yeah, she's got to steal a diamond in the middle of a room, and there's lasers everywhere. And he's on the screen watching. He can see the lasers in front of her, and she can't see it because he's got like an infrared camera. And he's like, right, you've got to get down there really low, and so her butt's like
sticking up to outer
and it's
space.
like the camera zooms in on her butt going up and down and all stuff like that. And Sean Connery's like, oh my, and there's all stuff like that. It's like So the male gaze, isn't it?
That got 200 and something million in the box.
It was a big hit. Yeah, no, it was a massive hit. Yeah, it was a big hit. And with their cat burglars and stuff, and he's the world's greatest burglar. And he teaches her the ways, but she's like a undercover policewoman, so that's the entrapment kind of thing she's trying to. But then she falls in love with him and realises that he's a hero and all stuff like that. So and then he did the last film he ever did. Yeah, was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah, which was crap. Yeah, but was he any good in it? He's alright in it. Yeah. Alan Quatermain, and he's like fighting everyone, but he famously retired after that. Apparently. Right. Because he fed out the director Stephen Knighton, who made Blade just before. Apparently, he was telling they just apparently argued every single day. Yeah. And he told apparently it all came to a head. Jason Fleming was in it, and he said that the worst day on film he's ever had was when Sean Connery and the director punched each other pretty much. Jesus and he was saying because he was meant to run down the street, and Sean was saying, "Oh, I don't really want to do it. I can't do it." And then Stephen Knighton said to him, "We're paying you enough. I think we're paying you enough to run down the street." And apparently he was like, "Don't you talk to me like that, I'm Sean Connery," that's the fight. That's why I wish we had a time machine. Go back and watch all these amazing things and stuff. But maybe we'll find out what really happened now. That director's just put off the face of the earth. He hasn't made another film since. Neither did Sean Connery, so that must have been pretty bad. And so he hasn't made a film since then. So that was 18 years ago. So he never got one last great role, comeback role. He could have been in Casino Royale. As who? The Chief. Well, there was talk, wasn't there? They were going to bring him back as Bond's dad. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. In one of the Pierce Brosnans, and they remembered that actually James Bond's meant to be an orphan, so it wouldn't really work. He could have been like a great uncle. Could have been. He could have been like Albert Finney in Skyfall, isn't it? Yeah. But he could have been like that. But then I don't think that would have worked at all. No. And I don't think he was that keen on it, going back to Bond like that. Unless he was Bond. I can't imagine he'd go. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine he'd go, look, I'll come back. I want to be Bond though. I can't be anyone else. What? George, I want to ask you about your thoughts on Sean Connery for a bit. Right. What do you think about him? As an actor? Actor, good. I think, as I said, he warmed into the role, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Into more of a natural actor as his films went on. Mm-hmm. Again, like what we said in our first ever podcast, whenever you think of James Bond, you say Sean Connery, didn't you? Mm-hmm. And I think if you're gonna say something like that, he obviously did an okay job, didn't he? He did an alright job, yeah, exactly. But no, I think he had everything. I think he had everything you'd want from a Bond as well. I know what you're saying. In like later films, want to always be the action hero. You could never go away from that. But no, I think it's a tragic loss to add to this year, and you know, I wouldn't put. I always say that I always give the first few Bond films a bit of smack, but it's just you said just because they're a bit dated and old. Yeah, and they had nothing else to previously work from. Mm-hmm. They were what people make from them now. Mm. So, if he would have known back then, he was going to be the one to start it all off and all that and everything like that, and he was going to be the one who'd forever immortalise that role, then yeah, I think he was the right person to go for. Yeah, he was, he's, like I said, he defined what Bond should be. Yes. I mean, there's the fact that he's this hyper masculine guy, isn't he? Without being... He wasn't too muscly. Yeah, he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he just seemed like a classic British hard man. Yeah. Who didn't take any nonsense. Mm-hmm. He weren't like a stealthy spy, was he? He weren't like... No. He was more of your in your face, here I am sort of spy, I think. I think there's something, like we said before, there's something human about his Bond. Yes. There's something... not like as vulnerable as like George Lazenby. No. it just seems believable.
Believable.
It seems like this is for real. Like every situation he's in, it feels like he's in there, and this is what this is his world, and it doesn't seem to be like affectation, isn't it? He's not trying to act like a hard man. He just is a hard man.
He's a hard man.
But then he can shift the gears down for the romantic scenes as well.
Yeah.
So he had that all round, that kind of all round charisma. He could be quite funny. I know you're saying he's not.
No, but I think I remember in the Indiana Jones he was quite funny.
Yeah, he's good in that. He's got a lot of slapstick energy and stuff like that one. Because he obviously knew. Yeah.
He weren't the main man.
No.
So he thought, you know what, I'll be a bit silly with it.
And he knew to play against type, and that would be funny.
Yeah.
For him to be the dorky kind of one.
Yeah. But he was technically still playing, like, he's the main man of the main man. Like, he's playing the dad of the action hero, if that makes sense.
What's that bit in the best bit in Indiana Jones when I can't remember exactly the lines now, when they both realise they both slept with the same woman. When I can't remember what happens, but they both realise it because that Elsa, who's like the Nazi one. It's quite. It's like the funniest bit in it. And they both realise they both slept, but now I do want to raise. I don't want to speak ill of the dead.
No.
But sometimes when you're looking back on people's lives, you have to look at the whole of it.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad, yeah.
People are full of multitudes. So he was a great actor, did a lot of good stuff. Apparently he was a very good man, very nice to people.
Mm-hmm.
Not just not someone who was only interested in stars, but he was nice to people who worked on the sets and everything like that. A lot of people are coming out now with stories about working with him and how pleasant he was and how they said he didn't suffer fools gladly. But if he liked you and thought you were good at your job, he would respect you. And listen to your ideas and things like that. But there's it's popped up a few times before, the interview with Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
Where he talks about, it was from the 90s, and it was reference to a Playboy magazine article he'd done where he said about beating up women and how it was okay to do, basically.
Yeah.
That he'd never punch a woman with his fist closed, but with an open hand he would. And he talks about shit, and he quite brazenly, Barbara Waters tries to question him on it, and he's like, yeah, no. He's like, yeah, a woman should be slapped. If she can't, if she's not had the last word or keeps on at him, then yeah, you have sometimes the only way you can treat a woman is to slap a woman.
Yeah.
Quite unapologetic. I mean, they said he walked back some of his comments a few years later, but and it was like, it was a different time, but it was still the 90s, so it still wasn't like, I still think it was a bit of a dodgy
thing to say.
Yeah, I said you don't go and slapping women even like in the 90s and stuff. So yeah, his first wife said he was an abusive guy. He maybe was.
Maybe was, we'll never know.
Don't know him personally. It's just, people are complex, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you can't remember, like I've said that quote from Game of Thrones, a good act doesn't outweigh the bad,
no.
Bad doesn't outweigh the good.
Yeah.
He's a legend as an actor, obviously people like him, but there was obviously this side to him as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That we can't ignore. So that's me with my serious head on, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think it should have been said.
It's got to be said. If you ignore it, then you're painting half the picture.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what some people are getting a bit frustrated with, because a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook, oh, Sean Connery is the best. What a wonderful man, what a hero. And other people saying, well, hang on, he wasn't all good.
Yeah, no, I
get that. Asking some of the women that he knew and worked with, and they said he didn't have much respect for some of the women actresses that he worked for as well, and things like that. So maybe he was a misogynist. Like, it's the world where he comes from, wasn't he? He comes from a rough background, back there, working class up in in Scotland. In the 50s, 40s. Different time he grew up in.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess on that serious note, I think we've kind of waffled on enough about Sean.
Yeah, we've put our own little tribute to him, haven't we?
There'd be no Bond without him.
No, that's a good thing to take away from this.
He was Bond. He is Bond, and he will always be Bond, I think.
Yeah.
He's what everyone bases his performance on.
Yeah, you say his name, that's what I'm linking him to, nothing else.
Great actor with a load of other. He's the perfect example of an actor who didn't let one role define him.
Yeah.
So even though he's the definitive Bond,
he try to go out and prove, because you could say that role in Untouchables, he got the Oscar for it. He didn't get Oscar for Bond or anything like that, did he?
So he went on and did other films and just as memorable. People still talk about like Indiana Jones and Hunt for October and The Rock, stuff that's just as iconic as maybe not as iconic, but you know what I mean. So he became bigger than the role, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which none of the other actors since have really done.
No.
Maybe you could argue.
Well, he could argue, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're always Bond, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I think Sean Connery was the one that most put it behind him in a lot of ways.
Definitely, yeah.
And moved on from it.
Yeah, because you look through other actors. Roger Moore didn't.
No.
Timothy Dalton,
that's
he
probably
did.
because he was like 80 when he finished.
I
He
know.
probably didn't have much time.
Timothy Dalton did a few other things. Pierce Brosnan did a few other things.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Exactly, they have done other interesting stuff.
But then didn't really do anything like Sean Connery did. Didn't win anything.
We'll have to see what Daniel Craig will do.
Knives Out.
I think he's got a chance. Knives Out, yeah. I think he's got a chance. He's done other films, hasn't he? And I think he's an interesting enough actor.
And he's young enough.
Yeah, I think he can.
He's young enough to play those old characters.
Yeah, I think you could see him playing an old action geezer in a few years' time, doing anything like The Rock, can't you?
The Expendables 4.
Yeah, I think he's going to go on and do well.
Yeah, I think so.
He'll be able to put a lot of it behind him.
Time will tell, Craig.
Time will tell. So, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Sean Connery, 1930
to 2020.
What a year, eh? Yeah, what a year. It's just sticks it in, doesn't it?
We have got another podcast coming out. It was recorded before the time of this.
Yeah.
It's about Bond villains.
Yeah.
So that will be coming soon, I guess.
Coming
2022.
No, it'll be
No, I'm joking. Possibly. Give us something to listen to in lockdown.
Which was this is recorded pre-lockdown.
Yes, we've got to put that in, haven't we? Yeah. Our last day.
Before COVID restrictions, this is going to be it for a while.
Until
we've got lots of material.
We've got lots of material. We're not running out of ideas. Just the government don't want us to share our ideas. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to do one over Zoom if we figure out how to do it.
Yeah, if we can figure out.
But anyway, that's it from me. I'm going to sign off on that. I'll leave you to.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you like the video, hit like. If you hit downvote, then you hate Sean Connery, I guess. And
in the comments, put a definitive moment of Sean Connery.
Yeah, just do that. Put your favourite Sean Connery moments.
Yeah.
Or your favourite non-Bond
Sean Connery moments. That could be whatever you like. Yeah. Whatever line, if you like anything, I just thought that'd be a nice thing.
Pussy galore. I must be dreaming.
That's it. That's Craig's favourite. My favourite is when he first started Bond, James Bond, because without that, it's such a cliche thing. But I kind of put my own self on the spot, and I thought that's always good.
No, I think you're right. I didn't even think about that. But the pussy galore bit, I like.
Yeah, it's funny.
He can sell that in a way now with Bond. You can imagine Moore doing that with his eyebrow raised.
Pussy galore.
Yeah, speech bubbles around it when he's like, "I must be dreaming." That kind of stuff. It would be crap, wouldn't it? And he just kind of throws it off like, "Oh, yeah, right, pussy galore." So yeah, if you like what you hear, hit like. If you want to hear more, hit subscribe. But thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much.